green cradle for us. We love you, to stay dangerous. We love you, 'cause you're a sacred land. We promise you to find your face. We love you, we promise we love you. Uzbekistan. So, what was this song about?
About
Our homeland and about our motherland,
devotion to our motherland.
yeah,
How we love our Uzbekistan.
yeah, about patriotism, yeah, patriotism.
Tradition.
Right, brilliant, smart student.
So you found the word we need. That was the word patriotism. But I want to recall in your mind early 18th century, 1938. You know the period in our history. We call them the people who were perished in Stalin's gulags. You remember about it? And that's why we just want you to recall in your mind that period of our history. It was a dark history, and we want to share texts with you. So will you help me?
Yes, please.
If you don't mind, I want to read it myself.
Please share one.
We have chosen the text, The Bonfire and the Ants. It was written by famous Alexander Solzhenitsyn. You have you ever heard about
Yes.
him?
Yeah,
Yes.
Nobel winner.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready to listen to me?
Yes.
Does everybody got one?
I threw a rotten log onto the fire without noticing that it was alive with ants. The log began to crackle. The ants came tumbling out and scurried around in desperation. They ran along the top and writhed as they were scorched by the flames, ripped the log and rolled it to one side. And many of the ants then managed to escape on the sand and the pine needles. But strangely enough, they did not run away from the fire. They had no sooner overcome their terror than they turned, circled, and some kind of force drew them back to their forsaken homeland. There were many who climbed back onto the burning log, ran about on it, and perished there. So, I don't know how you feel, but when I read this text, is very familiar to me because I love this writer, and it reminds me those difficult period of time because it's too personal. It touched me because my father was among those who spent some time in Stalin gulags. Okay. I just want you to tell me what our Uzbekistani heroes you know who was maybe perished in that time, and
The name.
this name. I'm so sorry, but I'm so excited. Yes.
Well, actually, we did have a movement for independence called Jadid, and they were the butterflies who wanted the independence from many oppressors and repressors, and they stood back and they wanted the generation to be educated and to fight for their own homeland, to be the own of their homes.
Yeah.
But we had that repression years. It was in Soviet Union time, and many of those people and real patriots and ardent people of Uzbek nations like Munawar Qora, Behbudi, Chulpon, Qadri, they were all killed by the order, and it was not it was not just, it was not because they did something wrong or something against for the nation, it's because they wanted independence. They wanted the freedoms, they wanted the liberty of Uzbek nation, and so that they were killed and they were sacrificed for the time that we're having now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what about Babur? So how can we connect these texts with Babur?
Actually, we cannot connect it with Babur, but we can connect it with Timur Malik, Jalaluddin Manguberdi. As they were real heroes.
But I just want you to maybe you know Uzbek better than me, because in the history you know the poem by Babur when he wanted to give only one mark of lady's face to the whole world in order to see his Andijan.
Yes,
Remember this?
that was correct. You were perfectly true. He was very
It was
Yeah.
homesick.
So that time was a lot of enemies that come instead of him, and there was such kind of sharing the throne, and he had more outsiders than insiders of him, and that's why he has to leave his motherland, and but he was crying about that.
His mother.
Yes,
You missed it.
that case. He was nothing to do because he was more outsiders than insiders.
You may give it for yourself and read sometime.
So, hi everybody. So I would like to ask from gentlemen. So, do you like to wear t-shirts?
Something unusual.
T-shirts. Do you like? I mean, as a gentleman,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
Why? What's the disadvantage of t-shirt? Sorry, advantages. Disadvantages.
Advantages of t-shirts are that we can stand for hot. This is the advantage, but disadvantage sometimes we cannot use tie.
T-shirt.
It's not clear.
It's not close.
This is flexible conditioning and very casual. And yeah, it's very stylish.
So do you like to wear in one color, colorful t-shirts?
It depends on what kind of gender we wear. Depends.
Okay, we are going to focus on this our poster. So as you see, this is a t-shirt. We are not going to. So we try to cover all, not all, just a little bit reading. How can I say reading stages? As you know, it's all of you maybe know about the from duet. So in the step one, this is pre-stage of reading. So pre-stage in the reading of students have to predict what they are going to read. So why we shouldn't ask the students or tell students that today we are going to read this kind of text. Why? We shouldn't tell them. So why?
I think they should involve in the lesson and some kind of, they must get an interest and some kind of predict.
Yeah,
Prediction, what they are going to do.
So in pre-stage also helps to develop our students' critical thinking, that's why. So let's say we try to cover like a little bit activities. In pre-reading stage, it may be riddles related to this reading task. For example, we talked about the animals, or maybe it may be like also proven vocabulary picture and also working with new vocabulary. It may be pre-stage of the reading task. So I will give the floor to my colleague, and she will continue about the step.